Chiron stations retrograde this week to highlight our own journey and story of overcoming. On July 19th, Chiron, the celestial body dubbed as the wounded healer, is going to be stationing retrograde. And when a planet stations retrograde, as we know, it just intensifies our collective awareness of that archetype. I have been working with Chiron for many years. And in my opinion, I also like to think about Chiron as the divine outcast, where Chiron spent a lot of time trying to figure out, why am I the way that I am? And I think there is just like this pervasive myth as human beings that we're supposed to fit a mold, that we're supposed to be like everybody else, because our Chiron wound is very often coming from a place of being different. Not always. Sometimes our Chiron wound is something traumatic or something that imprinted onto us, something that happened to us. But a lot of times our Chiron wound is also just feeling different. So I think it's important to hold space for that too. But whatever your relationship with Chiron is, maybe you know it, maybe you don't. I remember being a young astrologer and not knowing what my Chiron was. And as I've gotten older, there were more things that happened, but then also a reiteration of things when I was younger. So yeah, Chiron, if you know it, if you know what your Chiron wound is, if you know what your story is that you're working with your human mythos that you're working with, that is likely going to be energized and highlighted for you around this time. We'll feel it a few days leading up and a few days after, but the station is on July 19th, and Chiron will be stationing retrograde at 16 degrees of Aries in 26 minutes, and it will stay retrograde until the end of the year. December 26th, and it'll station direct at 11 degrees Aries. So with Chiron and Aries, there's a significant emphasis on our story. So I like to think about Chiron and Aries as highlighting our human story, as we are the protagonist. So there's a lot of ways to reframe your story. I've been reading this book about the archetype of Mercury and, well, all the tricksters really. And the author discusses, gosh, I wish I had the book right next to me. The author, I'll have to put it in the notes. The author discusses Frederick Douglass and how Frederick Douglass wrote 3 different autobiographies for himself, and each one reframed his story differently. And we have the power to do that. And I think with Chiron moving through Aries, we're doing that a lot. I'm inspired by some of my colleagues who tell their stories and share personal details of their life. And I think it's a powerful way of being able to frame yourself as a protagonist and to frame your story, things that you went through that were difficult to process, things that were unfair, things that were complex and challenging, and maybe you didn't have the tools to navigate your way through at the time. But the way that we frame our story can help us so much, because think about it. Your favorite TV shows, there are flawed characters. Every hero is flawed. It's, Joseph Campbell talks about this. This is the archetype of the hero. We're rooting for the hero. We want the hero to succeed, but we know and we watch their flaws get in their own way, or we watch them make mistakes. And even no matter how bad it is, we're still rooting for them. We're still rooting for them to find a way through. And maybe we can give that generosity to ourselves at times. And I think with Chiron, we're always making little adjustments. Think about the word chiropractic. Like your chiropractor, you don't see your chiropractor once and you're better forever. You have to keep going back because everything is connected in its own holistic way. So with Chiron, a lot of times the same stuff is being rehashed, but we're making little adjustments each and every time, and it gets better and better as you go. I promise. So even if you're new on your Chiron path, and this could feel really intense, if you're a little bit further along on your Chiron path, you might feel like, this again, I'm so done rehashing this. Like, I thought I got to a really good place with this, and here it is again. And maybe you're you're a sage on your Chiron journey and you're like, yeah, and you're just reminded of how much you've overcome and how wise you are from it all. Because that's the other piece about Chiron, is that Chiron was a savant. Chiron had all the knowledge about like everything, all the healing arts, all the martial arts, like everything. So we get wise as we work with Chiron. So if you're feeling the feels, it's a little bit of Pluto, a little bit of Chiron. It's a big uprooting Cancer season week. But stay with it. And I hope the release serves you. And I hope that this Chiron station helps you to reframe your story in an even more self-empowering way. But for now, that is your astrology shot of the day, and I will catch you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. For more astrology in your world, stay connected with me on all platforms at Astro Catherine. You can also get on my mailing list to stay up to date on classes. I've got 2 monthly meetups, and I'm going to be launching a whole new rendition of my foundations course starting this September. So hope to see you there. Bye.